True history of a God. The Hebrew word for one God is El. The one God we want to speak about is the El Elyon found in the Bible. Many know him as God the Father, the one true God, the God of the Bible. But he wasn't always the one true God. The Bible doesn't say much about him. But if you know the history of planet Earth, you will understand who he was. You can't depend on the Bible to teach you Earth history, so you have to use other sources. I found some information in my Bible, the internet, that better tells you who the God El Elyon really is. In the Bible we first learn of El Elyon when Abraham met his high priest at Salem and gave him some of the goods Abraham had stolen from the poor people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you remember him? His name was Melchizedek, the king priest of the Most High God. Now if you talk to some people, they will tell you that El Elyon is the God of Israel. Well, I tell you, El Elyon was not the God of Israel, he was the God of the land of Canaan, and other places. That God of Israel was Marduk of Babylon, who was also Amun-Ra, Zeus, Ahura Mazda, and he had other names. People need to stop lassoing all the gods and trying to make them a one God. The religions are doing that, and that makes them liars. Those of the people that don't know who the gods were, and are dumb people now because they've been lassoed by their lying religions that are controlling their minds. These such religions are in the dark and will never understand. But I tell you this, the God of Islam is not the God of Israel or the God El Elyon. Look on top of many mosques and on some flags, you will see the insignia of the crescent moon. That sign is the insignia of Nanna-Sin, the moon god of Ur, where Abraham was born and was raised. So let us look carefully at El Elyon and understand just who he was. El is known as the father of the gods, Abi Adamu, the father of mankind, Tharua Ilu, the bull El, Bani Yubinawadi, the creator of creatures, Ludi Panua Ilu du Paidu El, the compassionate, the merciful, Kodj holy, Abu Shanima, father of years, and Ilu Mabukana Harami El, at the sources of the two rivers. He was not only the chief god of Anatolia, but also of the Canaanites and Semitic peoples living on the eastern edge of the Mediterranean Sea. El wears bull horns upon his helmet like the Anunnaki. He is grey-haired and bearded and lives at Mount Lel, mountain. Lel is located at the source of the two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, in northern Mesopotamia, eastern Turkey, where there is a large lake up there. The word Lel means belonging to El. El reigns there as father, king, and judge of the gods who assemble at his court on the Har Emoed, the Mount of the Assembly. El rules on all matters affecting nature and society among the gods. As it says in the 82nd Psalm, God stands in the divine assembly, among the gods he dispenses justice. While traveling upon the sea as a young god, El met two earth women, Asherah and her companion Romea. He roasted a bird for them and asked them if they would rather be his daughters or his wives. They agreed to become his wives. From this union derive Shachar, dawn, and Shalim, dusk or the evening star. The city of Jerusalem is named after the second. Yerushalayim literally means city of dusk, not city of peace, which it has never been. El and his family moved to the desert where they build a sanctuary and dwell there for 8 years. El ordered Kother and Casus to build a throne for Yam, Enki, who was to be given a kingship. El is warned by the gods that Yam has been shamed and may wreak destruction. El renamed him Mdil, or beloved of El, and has a banquet in his honor. El really knows how to throw a banquet. He has a reputation as a heavy drinker at events like this, so before he can be so honored, Yam is informed that he must drive out Baal. Yam is not successful, and after his demise, El favors Mot. Baal is declared king and judge and resides in the palace of El and Asherah, since El will not allow him to build a mansion of his own. When the handmaidens of Yaruk, Moon, and Lady Asherah of the sea, are assailed by the monsters of Baal Hadad, El tells them to give birth to beasts to act as bait to draw away Baal Hadad on a hunt. El bestows his favor upon King Kiret. He offers him many riches, including the princess Hire and many offspring, after the death of Kiret's many spouses. Kiret eventually takes El, and El convenes the assembly of the gods to ask if one of them could cure Kiret of his illness. Shataket the demoness is sent by El and cures King Kiret. The goddess Anat comes before El with complaints about Akot, and threatens to hit El on the head when she dislikes his response. El told her that she was contemptuous, but that he would not stand in her way. The god El claims to be the one true God, and yet he is a jealous God. If there are no other gods, what is there to be jealous of? This sounds like a serious personality flaw to me. You would think that an all-powerful being wouldn't be troubled by such poor self-esteem. Also, throughout the Bible we are told that God is perfect and that we should emulate Him, and yet on page after page, He is described as a mass murderer. Some call Him a God of love. I say tell that to Noah's neighbors, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, the Egyptians during the exodus of the Israelites, the Amalekites, and the Canaanites. With all this information, just where did this God come from? This next information comes from my Sumerian part in my Bible. This is from mud tablets found in Assyria, where El Elyon had a temple and Ashur-bani-pal was the king. That land was called Assyria. The god of Assyria was called Ashur. So just where did he come from? He came from those primeval days mentioned in those mud tablets. Notice, in primeval days, in distant primeval days, in primeval nights, in far-off primeval nights, in primeval years, in distant primeval years, in ancient days when everything vital had been brought into existence, in ancient days when everything vital had been nurtured, when bread had been tasted in the shrines of the land, when bread had been baked in the ovens of the land, when heaven had been moved away from earth, when earth had been separated from heaven, when the name of man had been fixed, when An had carried off heaven, when Enlil had carried off earth. Now no doubt you are wondering, where does Ashur, who was El Elyon, comes in? Well, did you notice 2 persons were mentioned? Those were An, who was Anu, the Sumerian god of heaven. The second is the son of Anu, called Enlil, the god that ran the earth. So we ask, how does Anu and Enlil play a part in the life of the almighty god Ashur, the El Elyon mentioned in the Bible? For that we go to the Hittite writings found in the Middle East. In 1887 at Amarna in Egypt, a cache of letters recording correspondence between the pharaohs of Egypt and the kings of the Hittites was found, which included documents in a cuneiform script. This cuneiform script was given the name Arzawa after the name of the city of Arzawa in southwestern Anatolia. My Bible says, the next stage of the rediscovery of the Hittite civilization came when the Welsh linguistic scholar Archibald Henry Sayce recognized that the art associated with hieroglyphic writing in petroglyphs found at various sites in Anatolia and elsewhere in the Middle East was evidence of a civilization and empire. Sayce wrote in his memoirs, "It was clear that in pre-Hellenic times a powerful empire must have existed in Asia Minor, which extended from the Aegean to the Halys southward into Syria, to Carchemish and Hamath, and possessed its own special artistic culture and its own special script." Sayce's notion of a Hittite empire was not immediately accepted, but he publicized it, including his conclusion that the capital of the empire was at the city of Bogazköy, about 100 miles east of Ankara, Turkey. The German archaeologist, Hugo Winkler, excavated at Bogazköy from 1906 to 1908 and verified that it was the site of the Hittite capital, Hattusis. Not only did the excavation confirm the site as the Hittite capital, but it uncovered the Royal Hittite archives containing about 25,000 documents in the Hittite cuneiform script, Arzawa. Wow, that's very good information. 25,000 documents? What did those documents teach us? Well, let's check some out. For you will not learn this in Judaism, or Christianity, or even Islam. From my Bible, the Hittites were an Indo-European people dominant in North-Central Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, ca. 1600 to 1200. The following story is the centerpiece of their creation. Notice: Hittite kingship in heaven. Let there listen the gods who are in heaven and those who are in the dark earth. Let there listen the mighty olden gods, Naraz, is an Amunkis. Let there listen Amzaddus and the gods of the olden days, the gods' fathers and mothers. Let there listen Anus, Antis, and Isharaz, the fathers and mothers. Let there listen Elilas, Ninlalas, and also those who are mighty and firmly established gods. In years gone by, Elalish was king in heaven. Elalish sits there on his throne. And strong Anishanu, first of the gods, is his servant. He bows to him at his feet. He always gives him great cups to drink into his hand. For 9 years of rule, Elalish was king in heaven. After 9 years, Anish made war against Elalish. He defeated Elalish, who fled under the dark earth. Anish sat upon the throne. Anish is there on his throne, and strong Qumrbi always gives him food to eat and always bows at his feet and always gives him great cups into his hand. For 9 years Anish ruled as king in heaven.